Hello and welcome back to Digital Assets Daily. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in your corner of the world. This video is a two-part video in regards to Ripple become a bank, Ripple a security. Now let's get right into it. Could Ripple's XRP replace Correspondent Banks? This bank says yes. XRP, the popular yet controversial token issued by the distributed ledger software company Ripple, has its first official bank endorsement, XRP Bank in London. The bank is set to announce Tuesday that it has embraced XRP and Ripple's XRapid software as an answer to the liquidity and visibility problems that arise in sending payments across the globe. There's been a lot of talk around the markets about how blockchain technology can assist in trade finance, said Graham Bright, head of compliance and operations at the bank. We're interested in moving forward and creating a platform for payments for our clients who are in over 80 countries at the moment, making sure they have a smooth, frictionless way of paying local people. Currently, if a U.S. bank wants to send a payment to another country, it has to keep money on deposit at a Nostro account at a correspondent bank in that foreign country. The funds in the account are used to settle the payment, which is directed by a message sent over the SWIFT network. When a bank doesn't have a direct relationship with a bank in another country, it uses correspondent banks as intermediaries through which the payment instruction hops. Ripple is seeking to upend this practice using Ripple's XRapid software and XRP, and following guidelines set by the software firm. Banks can send payments across borders without having to store money in accounts in foreign countries. Instead, they can use XRP as a bridge across borders. They can use their own local currency, say US dollars, to buy XRP. Then they buy the currency of the foreign country and that XRP and use that to make the payment. Both parties trust the XRP ledger to cryptographically secure and record the transaction. When you use XRP, instead of having to pre-park all your money in foreign accounts around the world, you hold your funds locally, under your control, your stability, your credit worthiness. It's a much better position structurally, said Marcus Treacher, the global head of strategic accounts at Ripple. You can move funds from your local account, Brazilian reals, for example, into the target account, euros, say, in 2 minutes. Banks could keep less money locked up in an offshore account and lower their currency volatility risk, he said. One Ripple customer, Quai, is a U.S.-based company, U.S.-based payment company that sends payments to Mexico. Before it began using Ripple's XRapid and XRP model, we're going to call it Qualix, had to pre-book funds in Mexican pesos and hold them there days in advance. With the fluctuations in value peso to dollar, that is a high-risk method, Treacher said. Now Qualix holds funds onshore in US dollars. XRP Bank became interested in Ripple when some executives were invited to the company's Swell conference in San Francisco last October. We realized the type of companies that were very forward-thinking in the innovation they were putting in place, Bright said. We saw the technology would let us easily and quickly originate payments without having bilateral relationships. The bank also liked the idea of receiving an audit and record of everything happening on the network. That visibility is so important, Bright said. In contrast, in an interview on January 4th, he noted that his bank had sent a payment instruction to another bank on December 29 across the SWIFT network and still didn't know where it was. It was lost somewhere in the quagmire of a central organization, and we have no visibility on where it is, said Bright, who worked at SWIFT for 20 years. All the counterparty says is, we've not received your message. Another appealing feature is speed. Ripple says it can process 1,500 transactions per second. SWIFT network is store and forward, so transactions can take a day or more to execute. In trade finance, where large amounts of goods sit at ports while buyers wait for them. Being able to execute payments within a few minutes will make a big difference in some locations, Bright said. Several Euro-XM Bank clients are almost desperate to make sure this can work, he said. Many of the bank's clients need to pay for materials from foreign countries in local currencies, and foreign exchange is often a challenge. But converting XRP to Naira in Nigeria or XRP to the Malaysian ringgit is easier, he said, and this method eliminates the need to have intermediary banks, each one taking a cut and adding delay. Euro-XM Bank plans to start using XRP in cross-border payments in the first quarter of this year. It hopes to not only be the first bank to use XRP and XRapid in cross-border payments, but to help other banks take the same path. XRP's legal questions. This is another piece of the securities versus Ripple court case that I thought was really great. I tweeted earlier, if you were on our Twitter account, you probably saw this taken from this article here in the American Banker. And after tweeting that, realizing it was getting so much attention, I wanted to actually do a really quick video on that and bring out the full article, as I believe it was relevant and a lot of great information in here. Back into it. XRP's legal questions. It's a bold move given that there are legal questions around XRP. Even the question, what is XRP, is hard to answer. In most initial coin offerings, a company issues tokens that act like securities, tiny pieces of the company that you can buy that grow in value as the company prospers. Utility tokens, the right to use the product and services the company is building once they are completed, or digital currencies, decentralized digital assets that can be used to buy things. XRP doesn't neatly fit in any of the categories. Ripple's founders created 100 billion XRP in 2013. At that time, the company was called OpenCoin. Ripple currently owns just over 60% of XRP, and it releases 1 billion XRP a month for sale to grow the team, business, and ecosystem. In 2017 of December, Ripple locked 55 billion XRP into a series of escrows. Ripple would not say who else owns large chunks of XRP. Forbes reported last year that the co-founder and former CEO Chris Larsen, who stepped down in November 2016 and is now executive chairman, owns 5.19 billion XRP and has a 17% stake in the company. This gave him a net worth at the time of $37.3 billion USD, making him the 15th richest American. The publication also said Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse owns a 6.3% stake in Ripple and an unspecified number of XRP tokens. Co-founder and former CTO of Ripple, Jed McCaleb, originally owned 9 billion XRP. He left the company in 2013 and in 2014 announced plans to sell off all his XRP. After a legal tangle with Ripple, McCaleb reached an agreement in 2016 to give 2 billion XRP to charity and to put the rest of his 5.3 billion XRP in a custody account at Ripple. He is allowed to sell a small percentage of his holding each day. The issue of who owns and controls Ripple and XRP matters to some. The Swift version of the world may be slow, but everybody's got a stake. There's a feeling of ownership and control, said Lex Sokolin, Global Director of FinTech Strategy at Autonomous Research. The issues around who owns Ripple equity and who is in Ripple's consortium versus who is the billionaire owning most XRP currency, and why should they get to take what is essentially a capital markets rent on the financial system, are all good questions. It's quite complex, and it's not all feel-good. Bright, however, is concerned about how much control Ripple has over XRP. In its current form, it serves the purpose of the financial community far better, he said. It's not as open as a Bitcoin or Ethereum, but during the past year, several XRP investors who took a hit when the price of XRP dropped in early 2018 have sued Ripple, saying that XRP is a security and the company violated state and federal law by failing to register XRP with the Securities and Exchange Commission before selling it to retail investors. Ryan Coffey, a former Wells Fargo banker who filed a suit May 3, 2018, bought 150 XRP in January 2018 at $2.60 and sold them at $1.70 2 weeks later. All 100 billion of the XRP in existence were created out of thin air by Ripple Labs at its inception in 2013, he said in his class action lawsuit. Defendants have since earned massive profits by quietly selling off this XRP to the general public in what is essentially a never-ending initial coin offering. But Ripple maintains that XRP is a commodity. Ripple holds XRP. It's like holding coffee, cocoa, or copper, Treacher said. We as a company are a very separate animal to the XRP digital asset. That's the crux of why it's a commodity. It's an asset class. It's not a security. To Sokolin, XRP is just the phantom imagination of a lot of people on the internet. However, he's not concerned about the lawsuits against XRP. He reasons that with any investment, there's bound to be a portion of people who will sue. Bright at Exim Bank considers XRP a digital currency that should be regulated by central banks. Regulation is welcome to bring it to the fore and to make sure it can be transacted like a regular currency, he said. The lawsuits have also pointed to the statements made by Ripple company officers, including Garlinghouse, that have conflated XRP with its software and caused XRP to rise in price. They say Ripple's primary source of revenue is the periodic sale of XRP to investors, that the price of XRP is directly tied to Ripple's business and operations, and that Ripple controls the supply of XRP and the ledger on which it is based. To some, this appears antithetical to the idea of a decentralized currency and the underlying democratic concept of blockchain technology, which is supposed to be open to all and controlled by none. But Ashish Birla, Senior Vice President of Product, he oversees all of Ripple's enterprise software products, Xcurrent, Xrapid, and Xvia, counters that the XRP ledger is open and decentralized. It uses a consensus mechanism in which 150 validator nodes work together to validate new ledger entries every 2 or 3 seconds. Bitcoin and Ethereum use mining to confirm ledger updates. And I believe someone said today they had over 1,100 validator nodes. Sue from Esoteric Solutions. It was either 1,100 or 11,000. We'll go with the low number for now. According to Birla, Ripple operates 7 of the validator nodes and doesn't know who runs the other 143. Anyone can run a validator, Birla said. Some of the exchanges that list XRP run a validator. A lot of our customers have expressed interest in running an XRP validator. Validators also govern the roadmap for the XRP ledger, he said. Ripple has consolidated all the existing XRP investor lawsuits, which were filed in Ripple's home state of California, into one case to be tried in a federal court. Ripple also hired former SEC Chairman Mary Jo White and former SEC official Andrew Sorezny to represent it in these suits. Ripple's trajectory is one question that will direct Ripple's future is whether or not banks have an incentive to lower the cost of cross-border payments. Getting the international money movement pricing as close to zero as possible is just going to collapse the revenue of the banks in that business line, Sokolin said. But there's also the question of how quickly Ripple can build a network effect that could rival Swift's. Ripple has had recent growth spurts. And we do know that Swift is using on its GPI the R3 Corda, which runs on XRP. My apologies for distracting from the article. Back in last January, it forged a partnership with MoneyGram, through which the payment company will test the use of XRP and Xrapid. In October, Ripple made Xrapid commercially available and announced that Mercury, FX, Qualix, and Catalyst Corporate Credit Union had signed up for it. In December, 2 Kuwait banks also signed on. Also in October, a group of Japanese banks launched a domestic payment app using Ripple. Several exchanges began accepting XRP during the course of the year. Ripple now has more than 200 banks, and I believe it's somewhere between 300 and 400 plus at today's current date. Startups and payment companies in the US, Brazil, Europe, and the Middle East, North Africa, and the Far East in its RippleNet user network, most using Xcurrent software to make cross-border payments. The future of XRP may be uncertain, but Ripple software is riding a tide of popularity, at least outside the US. That is easy to see. I thought that was a great article, and I want to finish it off with this article here. Ripple, the global provider of financial settlement solutions, today announced the hire of Marcus Treacher as global head of strategic accounts. Treacher brings more than 30 years of experience in transaction banking and payment system technology, including 12 years in global leadership roles at HSBC. He also served as a member of the global board of SWIFT from 2010 to 2016. Treacher joins Ripple from his recent position as HSBC's global head of payments innovation, where he established a new team focused on applying emerging fintech to solve customer challenges in digital payments, trade, and supply chain. Projects under his leadership included establishing an alternative to traditional models for international mobile payments and driving the adoption of blockchain and distributed ledger technologies. Earlier in his career, Treacher served as HSBC's global head of e-commerce for transaction banking, where he led the establishment of corporate and commercial digital offerings covering internet, mobile, and SWIFT services. Prior to HSBC, Treacher held leadership positions at Citigroup and Accenture. And as we know, connected to Ripple and XRP, we have HSBC, SWIFT, Citigroup, and Accenture. Starts making a lot more sense, doesn't it? Since the early days of the web, I've been exploring how new technology can impact and improve banking. Treacher said Ripple stood out to me as a company that has both the vision and the expertise to truly transform the future of banking and payments. And I'm excited to join the team during this important moment in time where banks are starting to see the need for these advancements to better serve their customers. Treacher also brings experience working with global industry communities, organizations, and governments to shape their new financial and payment practices. He chaired SWIFT's global advisory body for corporates from 2010 to 2016, and most recently launched an innovation center in collaboration with the Monetary Authority of Singapore, the MAS. And that also sounds familiar, doesn't it? Marcus brings a tremendous amount of expertise working within financial institutions to implement and create better systems for payments, and we're proud to have him join our team, said Ripple CEO and co-founder Chris Larsen. Throughout his career, he's created new roles and initiatives to help banks stay ahead of the trends, and his insights and expertise will be invaluable as we help our customers improve the way value moves around the world. Treacher will join Ripple's European headquarters in London, where he'll apply his extensive background in payments and banking infrastructure to help implement and commercialize Ripple's distributed financial technology on a global scale. And that's pretty much it tonight with this video. I just wanted to mention, since we were in the discussion of the the lawsuit that was going on with Ripple, I wanted to share some articles that I thought were really important at this time in case you had not heard them, read them, or seen them. I think this was a good update and catching you up on what was going on. Whether you are new to this space or you have been here for a while, some people still were unaware of this. The article here stating, could Ripple's XRP replace Correspondent Banks? This bank says yes, as we just did another video prior that basically went into the same discussion from HSBC. But after going into that, I wanted to bring up the since the last discussion had been of Marcus Treacher, I wanted to bring up his full discussion in the article as it was written in its completion. And then I wanted to share the HSBC executive and Swift board member joins Ripple to support continued global growth article directly from Ripple on Marcus Treacher. I thought that was really good information, and it starts piecing the puzzle together for you. With a lot of uncertainty going on, I just wanted to share something that was of more reassurance for your confidence. Ripple has the best team of any cryptocurrency and digital asset, period. If you are invested in it, you should be very confident. Don't let the FUD articles get to you as an investor, because there is no other team out there that is efficient and that is professional and so well organized and designed as Ripple. And knowing that it is in helping the growth of and use case of XRP. Either way, guys, it's not financial advice. It is for entertainment purposes only. Wishing you the best of days, and we will catch you in the next one.